Wagner still high between council and the community. Since early November, the fire services there have been limited after the chief was fired and nearly all of the volunteers quit. Cindy Heiberger joins us live outside Aiken County Government Center with the latest solution the city is offering. Cindy, what have they come up with?
Well, Laura, as we speak, the Aiken County Judicial and Public Safety Committee are meeting here where I'm standing right now to discuss a proposal that would combine the Wagner Fire Department with the New Holland Fire Department. Now, this all comes after Wagner Town Council fired former Wagner Fire Chief Mark Wrdw and his deputy, causing all but one of the town's volunteer firefighters to walk out. Since then, Interim Fire Chief Gerald Taylor has brought in 5 new volunteers, but none of them are actually qualified to go inside a burning structure. Outside fire departments like New Holland are responding to emergencies within Wagner town limits. Councilmember Andrew O'Byrne tells me at this point, combining those two departments makes the most sense.
We're part of the New Holland Fire District, but we would retain kind of our station identity. Wagner would be still the Wagner station. This will provide them full protection, which was what they were entitled to for their fee payments.
Now, ever since this happened in early November, people in Wagner have been protesting this situation with the fire department. Tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear from some of those community members about how they feel about this possible merger.
A lot of emotions running high, tempers flaring with this decision. Sydney, thank you. Taking a look out over Grovetown as the sun sets. Whoops, sorry.
I told her we must and will provide a safe and secure environment for American sons and daughters that serve in the Army.
And this announcement is expected to trigger even more investigations that could lead to more punishments. Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine entering the final phase of review by U.S. regulators. This as the number of hospitalizations and deaths continue to rise in many parts of the country. Dania Bacchus is in California, where many are under a 3-week stay-at-home order.
The FDA released a positive review of Pfizer's vaccine Tuesday, saying it is strongly protective against COVID-19 and appears safe.
This vaccine actually was tested even because of the scrutiny with even higher standards in terms of how we do things.
Thursday, during a live debate, a group of independent experts will go over the FDA's findings and vote on whether to recommend the vaccine. An emergency use authorization could follow. The White House held a vaccine summit Tuesday to discuss the government's evaluation process and distribution. Vaccine executives were invited, but both Pfizer and Moderna declined.
Nobody thought it was even remotely possible to do what we've done in a period of less than 9 months.
Cases of coronavirus in the U.S. account for a third of all cases worldwide. Here in California, hospitals are at 80% capacity, and most of the state is under a 3-week lockdown.
The epidemic in the U.S. is punishing. It's widespread. It's quite frankly shocking, to see 1 to 2 persons a minute die in the U.S.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, Dr. Benji Matthews says his hospital is stretched thin.
This patient over here is prone on a ventilator, having a feeding tube in place.
The Kentucky State House has a wreath to honor the more than 2,000 residents who've died from COVID. Robert Perry Jr. is among them. Family members say they begged him to wear a mask.
And he said, if the Lord allows me to get through this, I'll never leave home without wearing a mask again. It took that trip to the hospital and what he was going through to finally realize COVID is real.
Perry was 56 years old. Dania Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Partial test results from AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine were released today, finding it 70% effective. The FDA will review Moderna's vaccine next week. And here's a look at where a lot of those new COVID cases are coming from. This is a map made by Johns Hopkins University. The top states seeing a majority of new cases on a daily basis are California, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas right now. More than 192,000 cases were reported nationwide today and more than 1,400 deaths. Video released yesterday shows police in Florida raiding the home of a former health official. Rebecca Jones, who was fired in the spring by Governor DeSantis, tweeted this video yesterday. The agency is investigating whether Jones accessed a state government messaging system without authorization, urging employees to speak out about coronavirus deaths. During the raid, Jones said that officers seized her computer equipment. Jones denies hacking the state's system and sending the text. She's known for creating the state's original COVID-19 informational dashboard. Some staggering numbers out this morning about the growing food need in this country. According to the nation's largest anti-hunger organization, Feeding America, millions of hungry Americans turned to food banks for the first time this year. The organization says it's distributed 4.2 billion meals in an 8-month period. They've also seen a nearly 57% increase in food distribution compared with last year. Down in Miami, that rings true. Hundreds lined up again this morning, hoping to get some much-needed pandemic relief. This is the second of 5 grocery gift card giveaways, which is part of a city program funded by the CARES Act. People lined up, some even camping out for a $250 gift card to Publix grocery stores. 500 cards are handed out at each giveaway, and some people are concerned, saying the city did not plan that event with safety in mind.
For sure, I think that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't think the city organized this well enough. There's no social distancing in a community. Like, I'm here as a guest, but this community is a very low-income community, and they're highly affected, and I don't think it's fair that they're being put through this.
3 more events are set to happen this month. American Airlines widening its pre-flight coronavirus testing program. They say starting tomorrow, customers traveling to any U.S. city that has COVID-19 travel restrictions can get access to at-home testing for travel starting December 12th or later. Those results should be given within 48 hours, but here's the catch. That cost is $129. That's a lot to tack on to your flight cost. Well, did you know at least 21 million people in the U.S. don't have access to high-speed internet? SpaceX, one of the companies trying to change that, and the government is giving them nearly $900 million to do it. It's part of a program to get companies to extend broadband access across the country over the next decade. And the focus is in rural areas where 3 out of 5 people say access is a big problem, and we have certainly seen that as so many of our rural counties transition to virtual learning. New tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court denies a lawsuit in Pennsylvania to overturn the state's election results. Today marks the 40th anniversary of the assassination of music legend John Lennon, and today people gathered in Central Park at Strawberry Fields, which was dedicated in his memory. Lennon was 40 years old when he was killed. He would have turned 80 this past October. Do you have a collection of baseball cards, maybe Beanie Babies, gathering dust? You wonder, how much is this stuff worth? Well, there's an app that can help with that.
And tonight's going to be the coldest.
A lot of us collected something as kids, thinking one day this might be worth big money. Well, it is time to dig out those Beanie Babies or your baseball cards and find out what they're worth. Jamie Tucker shows us how you can do that.
Now, we have been isolated at home for the last couple of weeks, and I thought, now's a good time for a pandemic project. What are all of my old baseball and football cards worth? My wife sees this mess and says, wouldn't it be great just to point your camera at one to find out? Yes, it would be great, and it is, with an app you probably already have on your phone. Google's Lens app takes a photo and searches for it online. Just open up Google Lens on any Android or iOS device, or with the Google app you probably have on your phone. Line up the item in the frame. In a second or two, Google will show you all the places the item is found online. And if it's a collectible, like this baseball card, it takes me to an eBay listing where I see someone selling the same card for $9. But this basketball card I almost overlooked is worth over $100. How many of us thought Beanie Babies would let us retire early? Google helped me find this one that just sold on Etsy, and on eBay it's selling for $14. It also works with things like Longaberger baskets, which we were sure could be worth thousands by now. Nope. It only shows you what someone else thinks it's worth, of course, but if you check eBay, search only for what someone actually paid for it. Depending on the condition of your collectible, that's what you can expect to get if you sell it. I can tell you, baseball cards, Barbie dolls, Beanie Babies, not what you hope they would be worth all these years. But who knows? Every now and then you may run across something worth $100. Pretty cool. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
Okay, don't everyone stampede to your attic at once. There is a good reason to check, though. Some of those collections do have gems, like Jamie Tucker was showing us. One Beanie Baby said to be worth $600,000. A Ricky Henderson baseball card recently sold for $60,000. So they're just gathering dust. Might as well check them out, see if you've got something special up there.
Hey, best of luck to you. Hope you find something worthwhile out there. That is very impressive. Jamie, good find there with the baseball card.
On Mount Everest, you can chalk that up 2 more feet. If you love Chipotle, I've got a reason for you to smile. The popular food chain is releasing a clothing line. The winter season wardrobe includes hoodies, joggers, beanies, pajama sets. Of course, it will be Chipotle branded and made from organic cotton. All the profits from the loungewear will go towards improving sustainability in fashion and farming. Gingerbread houses, we all love those around the holidays. Well, you've got to recognize this house. This is an edible replica of the Home Alone mansion. The gingerbread house commissioned by Disney Plus for their 30th anniversary of Home Alone. And you can see it has it all. It has the pizza delivery truck outside. It has the plumbing truck outside. Apparently this one took over 300 hours to finish making. And it's really got it all, but yeah, pretty cool. This is going to be on display for hospital patients in London. If you love Krispy Kreme donuts, and who doesn't? Listen up. Krispy Kreme bringing back its Day of the Dozens deal this Saturday. So if you buy a dozen glazed, you can get another dozen for $1. There are holiday donuts also included in that, but there is a small catch. Each customer is only allowed to use the deal twice, but that's a whole lot of donuts if you're feeling festive, Riley.
That is a lot of donuts. You got to be in the festive season for all those. Warrior law enforcement officer was injured this afternoon. We are reaching out to find out more about the shooting in Millen involving possibly a U.S. Marshal.
We want to give you a live look at the Aiken County School Board meeting now. This just started, and tonight officials are talking about big topics like postponing sports. They're also talking about giving the superintendent the authority to change learning models for each school based on COVID cases. And you can see a lot of people in that room right now. In Richmond County, they just wrapped up talking about learning in the second semester. And if you remember, the district was concerned about student engagement after the first quarter grades showed a significant number of virtual learners were not passing.
So school leaders are considering what they call cluster academies, and in them, teachers from multiple schools will teach online students to keep online and in-person class sizes small. There's also a plan to change Fridays for high schoolers to face-to-face learning. In February and March, Fridays would be for review or tutoring. The school board will discuss this further next week. Several 100,000 COVID vaccines will be in Georgia in the next 10 days. This afternoon, Governor Kemp and Dr. Kathleen Toomey said the vaccine is safe.
Many people in my own community, my neighbors, my friends, my relatives, both here and out of state, have said to me, are you getting the vaccine? And I can say with great enthusiasm, I can't wait to be vaccinated.
That vaccine will go to healthcare workers, people in nursing homes, and other long-term care facilities. The next round, they hope to vaccinate essential workers and people over 65. The Public Health Department decides which hospitals get the vaccine, and from there, those health providers decide who gets it. The vaccine won't be widely available until the summertime.
This afternoon, Augusta commissioners approved relief in the form of...
Vaccine won't be widely available until the summertime.
This afternoon, Augusta commissioners approved relief in the form of reduced business and liquor license fees.
As we first told you here yesterday, 2 more downtown Augusta businesses, Bee's Knees and The Hive, are set to close indefinitely in just a few weeks. But as Brady Trapnell tells us, it's just about survival and seeing what works.
The uncertainty of it all is nerve-wracking. It'll definitely keep you up at night.
David Long describes it as a roller coaster with drastic month-to-month changes. Back in April, Second City Distilling flipped their business on its head and started making hand sanitizer.
If we had not had the sanitizer revenue come about, we would be gone. There's no question.
But not everyone had that opportunity. And even now, changes in the weather and rising cases tell a difficult story.
You can see the correlation for sure. As cases go up, our business goes down.
It's like throwing spaghetti up against a wall and seeing what sticks.
Margaret Woodard with the Downtown Development Authority says that's what businesses are dealing with. The Hive tried to offer an online food market after dine-in sales fell. Now their owner says they'll see what happens after the holidays. Laziza just opened last month and is now offering curbside pickup, but they say they're surviving, yet holiday catering is down 50%. Farmhouse is offering gift cards, and much of their business has switched to takeout.
Some of them still have not reopened since the shelter in place in March.
2 other businesses closed and moved online. and the heart and soul of downtown is at stake. To survive, they say the community has to step up.
These are people, faces that we know, that we go to church with. Our kids go to school together. They support our Little League teams. They buy our uniforms. It's time for us to pay it back.
Reporting in Augusta, Brady Troutnell on your side.
The Hive and the Bee's Knees will be open for curbside and delivery only for the next 2 weeks. So if you'd like to support them, I'm sure that would mean a lot and could go a long way. Downtown Development says buying a gift card is enough to make a difference. Right here at the holidays, that could be a great gift option to support local businesses. Taking a look out over the medical district, it is a little bit.
New at 6 o'clock, a judge clears the way for 3 white Washington County deputies to stand trial for the death of a black man. Last month, the Georgia Supreme Court ruled the 3 white deputies charged in Uri Martin's death will not receive immunity. Martin was killed back in 2017 after he was tased multiple times by deputies. Today, the judge set aside his initial ruling, granting immunity, meaning the deputies can now face trial for murder.
A suspended Bamberg County councilman charged with child sex abuse now faces federal charges. Trent Kennard was arrested after authorities say he lied to buy a gun. Kennard faces 7 felony charges for allegedly sexually abusing children and is under a protective order. Officials say he lied about the charges and protective order when buying the gun in Columbia. Kennard could face 10 years in federal prison.
It's been a year of social unrest and calls for reform, and now Augusta leaders say it's beyond time for local legislation supporting that. Augusta commissioners have just approved a non-discrimination ordinance. Our government reporter, Sierra Cummings, has been following this for us today. Sierra, what will this mean exactly?
Leaders say a non-discrimination ordinance would penalize local organizations, businesses, and corporations if a visitor, customer, or even employee is treated unfairly based on this. Natural hairstyles for communities of color, religious headwear or clothing, race, sex, gender, identity, plus disability or veteran status. This comes because the city says there are only federal protections that only apply to agencies of a certain size. We learned today the Human Rights Campaign, which is a national organization, rated the city of Augusta 28 out of 100 when it comes to discrimination policies. Mayor Davis says in an effort to raise that number, the ordinance would create a task force to develop LGBTQ county programs like more liaisons for law enforcement investigations or cases within the LGBTQ community, public forums to address any local discrimination grievances, plus possible fines or business license penalties for local companies if they're found in violation. This is just in the planning stages right now. Commission voted to review an ordinance draft at the beginning of next year. Then there will be meetings for the public to weigh in before a final vote.
Sierra, for keeping an eye on that for us tonight. Also in commission today, a COVID memorial coming to downtown Augusta. It'll go right there along the Riverwalk. Leaders voted to design a plaque to honor all Augustans who died from coronavirus. No decisions yet on a construction timeline for that new project.
Governor Henry McMaster in McCormick County today to officially make the School for Agriculture at John De La Howe a governor's school. It allows older high school students to live.
Now can I approve this message?
The new Amazon Fulfillment Center in Columbia County is coming along, and today we went out to Appling to see how much is left to do.
The new facility will bring hundreds of jobs and significant growth for that area, but as Celeste Springer tells us, some wonder about what's ahead.
Hard hats and bulldozers will soon dissolve into packages from online splurges.
And everything seems to be on track right now. They're moving forward, looking to be open in July or August of 2021.
The massive Amazon Fulfillment Center is set to be completed just a year and a half after its announcement. An economic driver called the deal of the year will mean jobs for hundreds of people.
They announced 800 jobs when they did the project, so we're excited to see those jobs come to fruition.
But down the road, away from the hustle and bustle, a different scene at the neighbor's house.
We used to come by here and just think it was a little bit of heaven.
The McClellans have lived on this quietly nestled property for nearly 50 years.
It breaks our heart that the area has changed, but we do understand progress, and we're glad that there are companies coming in that will bring work for people in our area.
Their family had 2 car accidents on this road before development even began, and they just hope for a few roundabouts.
There's a lot of accidents because of people speeding, but with the turnabouts, it
help a lot of that.
And they don't have plans to leave anytime soon.
We just want to stay here. We don't want to go anywhere until we are ready to go and the time is right.
Until then, they're wondering what the 800 new neighbors will bring. Celeste Springer on your side.
And DOT says it is working on getting those roundabouts on Appling Harlem Road to ease concerns, but they won't be done until 2022. They also expect postings for those 800 jobs to go out sometime in February, but of course it all comes down to the big guys at Amazon. But we will certainly keep you posted on those jobs.
Also this evening, after 92 days of trying to catch this dog, volunteer groups finally caught their girl. Some of you, especially at Aiken, might know exactly who this dog is. Her name is Waverly, and she is quite the escape artist.
I love the big lipstick print on her head right there, but she's been running all over Aiken since September. Finally, last week, she was caught in the backyard of the house, but after being spotted so many times, she got a lot of support online.
She became like a celebrity dog in that area for sure, and especially in Aiken. It was so good to see just that whole community of businesses and homes, doctors' offices and so forth come together. Just the outpour was amazing, and we couldn't have done it without all of those people. We couldn't have done it.
The one that always got away finally caught. Waverly won't be up for adoption until they feel like she's ready to stay put.
But luckily, she won't have to be outside on a night this cold, Riley.
Definitely so. Bring those outdoor pups inside tonight. It's going to be absolutely frigid by tomorrow morning. We're already down to 41 here in Augusta, but as we head in late tonight, we're expecting those lows getting all the way down to the mid to upper 20s. So it is thanks to clear skies, calm conditions as we're looking ahead to next week. Looking sunny, breezy, and cold with highs in the 50s Monday.
People gathered outside the Wagner Fire Department last night to get answers after a town meeting there. Last month, the Wagner fire chief was fired, leaving almost all the volunteer firefighters to walk off the job. But with a new interim chief and 5 volunteer firefighters not trained to go inside burning buildings, it's not enough. Cindy Heiberger live from the Aiken County Government Center, where council's set to talk about this. So, Cindy, how are leaders hoping to fix all this?
Well, Laura, what they're talking about right now is merging the Wagner Fire Department with the New Holland Fire Department. But I got to tell you, after talking to some community members today, they tell me they're very frustrated. They pay their fire fees, but they feel that they're not getting adequate service. Since town council fired Wagner's fire chief last month, the small town has relied on outside departments to fight fires within the city.
There's never been an incident where they haven't had somebody to respond.
But community members like Christopher Sally say that's not going to cut it.
The little minutes that we lose from not having those first responders to come and care for our people, that might make a difference on this side of the county, whether we make it to a hospital or not.
The Wagner Fire Department has recruited 6 volunteers since almost all of the other volunteers walked out. None of the new volunteers are qualified to fight fires from inside a burning building. So town council says they've teamed up with New Holland Fire Department to propose a solution.
The idea of kind of merge consolidated districts so that basically, we're part of the New Holland Fire District.
The Wagner station would retain its station name and identity, but New Holland firefighters would help staff it. One former Wagner firefighter, who didn't want to reveal his name, said, "The community deserves proper fire protection. As far as the merger goes, for the community, I think this is the right step. But that firefighter and Christopher Sally are upset it got to this point in the first place."
The fact that you had a good staff of volunteers at that fire department, and then you just ruined your relationship with them.
Now, what's happening tonight is the first of 3 readings, but Wagner Town Council tells me they're hoping to have everything done and in ink by January 1st. And Laura, that's because the ISO is coming to do an audit in January, and if they don't have a proper fire department, their insurance rates will go up.
A lot of tempers flaring over this, and unfortunately it doesn't sound like it's over. Sydney, thank you.
Coming up, the Dogs' 3-year streak of playing in the SEC Championship has come to an end. Plus, Freddie Freeman wins another award. Mike's next.